Welcome in, everybody. Dealers, friends, dealer partners. If you're a general manager, GSM, sales manager, BDC manager, service, fixed ops director, service managers, you're going to want to tune into this. This is a special day here for the guys you're looking at right now, and they are, and myself, comprising the team of Call Team 6, Special Ops for Car Dealers. And this is our inaugural episode of the Mission Debrief. And what does that mean to you out there, right? So Call Team 6, just briefly, is a remote BDC solutions company for automobile dealerships. And what we do is we offer dealers a solution that it saves them money and makes them more proficient and more efficient in how they handle their leads and help them get more deals. I'm Jeff, and right here with me right now today, to my right, is Ken Kingstead, our CEO. Ken.
Hey, very good. Welcome. I'm really excited to be here on our inauguration here as we start our entire process. And real quick background on what we're doing is we're here to provide the best processes, systems from working in this industry, my God, now since like 1992. And one of the things that, in my background that I was fortunate to come up with was I'm one of the co-creators of the original BDC model. And so I've been around BDCs and leads and phones and all of those areas that are in and around the dealership world all these years. And so I'm a big fan of success leaves clues, right? And also failures leave clues too. And so what we want to bring to the table for you is the very best of the best processes, systems, and people to help educate our audience. So you guys can not go down the path where you make the mistakes that so many others have. It's going to include technology. It's going to include different various processes and procedures that we know from doing this for so long, Jeff, they at work, so that's what we're here to do for y'all.
Yeah, that's true because, obviously co-creator of the BDC model originally. If you're out there watching and you're in the automobile space right now, you really should be paying attention to this guy. That's in essence what we do, and part of what we do also involves the gentleman to my left here, Ryan Mays, our COO with the company, who manages the day-to-day operations and spends most of his time interacting with our team of all U.S.-based agents, roughly 60 people across the country, serving hundreds of dealership clients, and then bringing to bear the technology that brings all that together and actually makes us a very efficient solution and saving dealerships a lot of money versus doing a lot of the things that we do in-house to bring them more results.
Yeah, and I appreciate the introduction, guys. It's my absolute pleasure to be part of this team, saddled up with a couple of experts like yourself, and allowing me the opportunity to execute on your larger vision. So that's one thing that is special, I think, and what's special about this program is you've got decades of experience here, right? From the trainer, from the entrepreneur, the builder, 40 years in the business. It's almost odd to say that.
Am I that old?
I've had 21 years now since I was 18. Started selling washing cars in the wash bay, and now 18 selling, now 39.
Wow.
Able to do this. It doesn't mean we know everything, but I know a lot of wrong things to do. I'm happy to go through those, and because of that, we know a lot of the fixes that can be, and we're happy to communicate those with all of you guys today.
And it's very insightful and pivotal at this time because we're here because you asked us to be here, essentially. We get so many calls, so many contacts from our dealer partners and people who are dealer adjacent in this business and in the industry. Why is that happening so frequently now? Because things are moving forward and advancing, ladies and gentlemen, at a very rapid pace, more rapid than anything we've ever experienced in our tenure and careers in this business. So this type of format, this type of visit, this type of program, we definitely wanted to be intentional about bringing this to you and bringing it to you in a way that is not necessarily technologically in terms of that perspective, but because we are operators and having been fully immersed in the daily grind and the challenges that dealerships face on a daily basis, and how are they going to pivot? How are you going to pivot? What's going to happen now, with all the advancements in technology out there and all of these systems and platforms that are all separate? What's going to happen? What's this going to look like in 10 years? What's the consumer experience going to look like in 5 years? So, we're very excited to bring you that. We're going to keep it clear and concise here at the Mission Debrief program, and try to share as much insightful and beneficial information to you as we can. Where does that all happen? It happens right here, and that's why we like to share with you our really great team that we've been able to forge a great relationship with here. First, a shout out to our music producer Jay back in Charlotte, but we are live in the PJ Studios in beautiful Meisner Park in Boca Raton, Florida. And so, hey, we want to say hi and welcome to producer Ben and engineer Dan here at the PJ Studios. Hey.
Very nice.
Yeah, right?
Amazing.
What's
Amazing
up, guys?
Couldn't do it without you.
I love it.
Yes, sir.
I'm really looking forward to this show. I mean, you guys are going to bring some knowledge that, honestly, that I don't really know too much about. So, I'm so excited to have Call Team 6 in here, the Mission Debrief. I can't wait to learn all this stuff. And, yeah, you guys are some strapping young lads, so let's get this going.
Excellent. All right. First off, we want to make a special mention to our sponsors on this inaugural program today. First up is Podcast Junkies. We're very excited about them. If you would like to have the very best in digital podcast production and program production and also social media management, then definitely visit Podcast Junkies. That's where we're broadcasting from right now. And then also, our other sponsor is Digital to Dealer Direct, the fastest growing digital marketing agency in the country, a full service ad agency who's also sponsoring today's broadcast as well. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're very excited to get into episode alpha of the Mission Debrief, right? What's going on today in the business? And so, what we wanted to try to encapsulate first, in my view at least, is what if we could summarize briefly the top 3 areas that dealers like yourselves out there are experiencing right now? What does that mean? What does it look like, right? So first up, we've categorized it as challenges in new customer acquisition. We're going to talk about that a little bit today in our Mission Launch segment of today's program. And then also defection prevention. Once you've landed that client, that customer, what technologies can you take advantage of today that is going to help to keep that customer from defecting to another product or another dealer in the future? And then missed opportunity re-engagement. Those are the 3 areas. And the last one is actually, to be candid, if you use the term subject matter experts in execution, you're looking at 2 of the guys who are outperforming everybody, which is why that Call Team 6 is the fastest growing remote BDC solution in the country right now, and it's taken us 4 years to get to this point, and a lot of hours, a lot of toiling, a lot of trying, a lot of experimenting. But again, it's very pivotal. We believe that that we are here having these discussions with you, our viewers, and hopefully our growing CT6 army out there of automobile professionals and dealers, where we can work together and collaborate on what are we going to do to excel? What are we going to do to perform better? Right. Yep. So thanks to our sponsors, thanks to the guys in the back, and so let's talk about that first, right? What challenges are you guys seeing out there right now in terms of new customer acquisition? I know the viewers are going to think, well, everybody talks about that, Jeff, but what different perspective in today's challenging, ever-evolving environment, the gaps in performance, the gaps in metrics, the KPIs, what are you guys seeing out there that dealers are telling you that they need help with?
Well, hey, Jeff, I'll just say this, that, it goes back to, like we always talk about in kind of, dealership 101 school, is you got your leads, closing, and gross, right? We know those three pivotal points And we also hear things like, speed to lead and how important that is. And there's some really good data that just had come out, actually. And it said that 82% of the people will buy from the person that gets a hold of the customer on that first contact.
Like on internet lead.
Internet lead, for example. Yeah, it's a good one. And so obviously, what are we doing? What are dealers doing? And I would say when I talk to a dealer and they talk to me, they say, hey, what can you do? We want to get an extra, we're at 8%, we're at 5%. How do I get more lead conversions? And it comes down to your human resources, right? And right now, and I don't want to go too deep into the AI, but I just want to mention, the AI is a solution, but it's not an all-encompassing solution. I'm a fan in the stores that are working right now AI kind of supports the human. You know what I'm saying? It goes back to sometimes the first contact could be an AI, but it's a quick flip, if you will, to the human. And we're finding out long term if you follow these leads, because we just said that 82% will buy from that, but 60% are going to buy in the first 3 days. And so you say, well, okay, so how well are your human resources internally at chasing that opportunity?
Do you think dealers today have more resources at their hands in the dealership or less after COVID?
If you look at the data right now, it looks like it's about even. We haven't seen a lot of added resources in the form of humans to the dealership. So we're selling more cars, less people. I think that's right, Ryan.
Well, are they experiencing challenges with regard to the Great Resignation after COVID? With the shrinking talent pool that's out there on the sales side and on the service side. I think Ryan, you mentioned something that caught my attention about. That the percentage of mishandled leads, internet leads now, did I understand that correctly, that it's higher than what it was a few years ago?
Yeah, Four Eyes had the report from 2023 that said it was 37% were mishandled, and the new one came out that's 43%. Their latest one in March.
What does that what does that tell you? What does that tell you? So I'm a dealer out there, I'm a GM, I'm a BDC manager, I'm listening, I'm watching. Okay, that's great that I know that. What does that mean that's happening, and how can I keep my staff or my engine running to the point and performing to the heights that I want it to without falling prey to that type of situation?
Yeah, well, I think
curious.
maybe even a more alarming stat is 14% of leads are never even logged into the CRM. So I mean, wow. you don't even have an opportunity to mishandle those ones, right? I mean, they don't even exist. They're not even on the books. And again, that's from that same Four Eyes study. So, if you're looking to Ken's point, quick fixes on processes or areas of opportunity where you want to go to attack. I mean, the first couple steps of communication. What's going out to the consumer? What processes do we have? Who's responsible for what? Is it measurable? Can you hold someone accountable in the process? Do you have that person? Or is it a team of people that you can go to? Just questions.
How do you measure that, right? I mean, what's the cohesive part of that keeps all the data coming to the right people at the right time, so you can hold the data accountable and then hold the people accountable?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point.
Manager.
You got to usually start with the desk, right? The desk is that first point of contact. I've heard it said a few times out there on a couple other podcasts that your best BDC manager is your desk guys, right? Because they're seeing everything that comes through, and that's typically another good starting point. If you're saying to yourself, like, where do we begin? Typically going to talk to the guys who talk to everybody and see what they see what they're hearing. And then you can start to identify the disconnects, right? Then you can start to reverse engineer. Okay, so why don't we try it ourselves? How about we shop ourselves and see what happens?
That works.
Yeah.
That's typically
you provide that service, right?
Yeah, we do.
Auditing,
we do.
Right?
Yeah. I mean, it's ironic you brought that up because we're onboarding a customer now who asked us to mystery shop his BDC team.
That's right.
We did, and provided a whole layout of information, soup to nuts, what every interaction was, and within 1 week they signed us up.
Right. Yeah, and I think every store has some sort of a KPI. But we look at the resources of the people. What are we doing to train the people? What are the consequences to non-performance? And then you look at your CRM, and a lot of these stores we work with.
Dead.
Yeah, a lot of these
CRMs are dead. Let's just say it.
Yeah, And
Follow-up cadences and the main. Can I just? We're going to. That's going to be, ladies and gentlemen, a almost an entire subject coming up very soon. So you want to stay tuned and keep watching us because that's going to be a really cool conversation. My bad. Go ahead.
No. I was just saying, it just goes back to, the accountability. It goes back to, the people, the training, and what are the KPIs? And oftentimes,
Okay. Right. I'm with you. Let me just ask you this because this is important.
Yeah.
So you've spent thousands of hours, logged many miles over your 30 years as a trusted consultant and trainer, and so you've gotten a wide view and picture of many different operations across the country. But there are some things I would imagine down at the bottom of the sifting that are probably pretty common, in terms of gaps and things like that. So you go in there, and so one of the first things you do is you meet with the BDC manager, which we love BDC managers, right? And we love sales managers. And in fact, we just on a console call the other day, we had this happen, and the owner GM says, hey, Robert, what is our, how many leads have we gotten in so far this month, right? He calls them up because we're on the phone with them or we're on a Zoom, or what is our current closing ratio? Unfortunately, how many times do they know?
Yeah, it's like,
Typically,
let me get back to you on that. I'm not sure off the top of my head.
And that's not a slight. That's just that we that's what we do is we bring that information in a very critically measured manner to the attention of the right people, including the BDC manager. Right? So, but I mean, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I think that oftentimes what happens, to that point, Jeff, too, in terms of accountability, to know your numbers, measure what matters, if you will, and then have those numbers on a daily basis so you know where you're at, so you know where to go. But I think oftentimes the cadence that they follow it's too short. We find that over just doing this for so long.
Back to resources.
Yeah, back to resources. Knowing that long-term follow-up does work. You talk about that 40% that didn't buy in that first 3 days. Oftentimes, those customers will drag their feet out. Months. When we find that chasing the lead for 180 days, we pick up a significant amount of leads that we know that would never been followed up on. And I think what happens in situations like that is that oftentimes these BDCs, they get what's called lead bias. I think, you coined that, Ryan, for sure. Yeah. You might want to talk to that just for a minute.
That's very, very important.
Yes, absolutely.
That is a Ken X phrase right there. Can I just say that? That's a Ken X phrase.
There you go. The Ken X.
Yeah.
But I think the lead bias, you can't almost help. It's the human.
It's human nature.
It's a human condition, right?
Yeah, we're designed to recognize patterns.
Right.
That's how we're designed to do. So when you recognize that website lead that converts and you get to put it on your commission sheet versus
he wants an out the door number.
Can we say
We're
names?
ready.
Can we say names? Like some, I'll keep that out. Some lead providers.
Yes.
That'll dump leads at you from 25 miles away, and some other places that you just you know what they're what the game is. You know what it's going to be.
Right.
And so I mean, if and you can't blame. I don't blame.
No.
I mean, that's the game that they're thrown into. Those are the rules. Convert. So you're going to go where the game is.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's
called work the pay plan.
Yeah, you're almost walking into I don't want to say a rigged game, but it's kind of almost working against you from there. So you have to go where the game is.
Back to resources.
Yeah.
Right. How you're getting new leads every day. You're shorthanded. You've got your staff, working on all of that, and the leads, like you said, who require they have a longer tail chain because of where they're at in the funnel.
Sure.
It's really hard, for people to keep up with that,
Yeah,
right?
it is.
And really, you talked about what we're getting into here is what we want to. This is the third thing, about this particular segment, which is missed opportunity re-engagement.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually, where we help people excel for sure. At a fraction of cost that they did it themselves, but. That's one of the things that we think is worthy of talking about in the mission launch segment. Hopefully, maybe next program we'll be able to get to that a little more in depth, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd love to go deep on that because everyone's talking about it. Everyone wants to get their unfair share of leads converted. Oftentimes, you're good at what you focus in on, right? And I think that that's one area that we look for immediate gratification. And to be real too, if you're running the floor, obviously you're pressing the flesh every single day, and that's real. And sometimes these leads are we talk about the two in the bush, one in the hand, versus the two in the bush, and the lead that came in today is better than the one that came in yesterday, and so we kind of just follow prey to that. And I think there's just so much gold in the database if in fact you just worked it and working it from a multifaceted angle. In other words, you got to communicate to people the way they want to be communicated with, right?
Today,
yeah,
if you want to succeed.
And we know that texting is the number one form of communication.
By far.
Right, yeah. So we have all the data on that. Ryan can talk.
It's clear.
Yeah, it's insane. So, but oftentimes, we do a text or a video or a phone call. Obviously, these are different. We call it our language model is, we talk about omni-channel approach to being able to penetrate that opportunity. So we can have our face-to-face, our conversations, so we can convert at the level that we need to, so we can be a resource, speed to lead's part of that.
And oftentimes we show dealers how they can improve that conversion themselves on their own, because a lot of stores out there and groups they either have a centralized area where they like to handle all of that, and typically it's tied to a marketing arm of the dealership group, or they just feel a lot more comfortable with having things handled in-house, which we provide complimentary consultation on that too, just because of the background. Again, so many people are calling and reaching out, wanting to know how they can win as things are changing rapidly in consumer behavior patterns and the technology aspect of where we live each day. So, that's one of the things that we feel grateful to be a part of, which is trying to be a bridge, between the technology and the dealership experience, because everything we do comes from the dealership perspective, the dealer perspective, the guy, where I spent a lot of my career, which is, at the desk, managing, working, desking lots of deals all at once in large, dealerships and markets where, you get fully immersed in, what's working and what doesn't work at that point. So we look forward to discussing that more, with the viewers out there in coming episodes. But one thing I didn't want to let too much time get by without discussing in our next segment that we're going to be bringing each program is tactical tips from the mission debrief here at Call Team 6. Ryan, you had mentioned a little bit of data that you'd experienced because you're running A/B testing right now on the effectiveness, speaking of the omni-channel portion of it, communication style, Ken, with video, customized, personalized video that we're implementing and we're A/B testing right now. Without asking the dealership's personnel to do it, but it's still personalized outreach.
Yeah, it's actually kind of exciting. So we ran our first. Call Team 6 has the ability to have an AI-generated video, ties right into your inventory feed. And again, here at Call Team 6, I'll speak to us personally. We're a text-first BDC. So what we've actually been able to develop, which is kind of exciting, is the ability to, when a lead comes in, our AI can generate a video of the vehicle they inquired on, and it goes out in the first text. So the first text, they're already getting the video.
Yeah, that's strong.
And it says their name, it knows who the lead is, and it sends it out. Our first month, we had 40% of those videos got viewed, unique views, and that's just the first month. But what was exciting about it, and again, we're A/B testing, so that's got to have a little longer tail. But the initial results were actually pretty stark. The lead
with and without video.
Yeah, so without video, without the AI video that we integrated with the dealership, we had a 45% connect rate with the leads and a 7% close rate. And then after implementing just the video portion of this, that again, no one has to do anything on. It just lead comes in, lead gets the video, customer gets the video. That's what they had. It says their name and everything. The connect rate amongst the leads went up to 55%, and the close rate went to 11.5%. And that's the only thing that was changed. Ad company stayed the same, lead sources stayed the same, budget stayed the same. The only thing the difference is calendar flipped from one month to the other, and the AI.
And that speaks to why is a customer submitting a lead in any way? I mean, ultimately they want, probably a lot of times we hear, I want more pictures, or I want a video, I want some kind of an answer to something. They're not really.
And it removes, not to interrupt you, but it removes relying on that person to do it.
Right.
Right? Like there are tools out there. You have your code videos and you have your video app that's built into Drive Centric. I mean, you have those, right? But it still requires
A human
to do it. Yeah. I mean, again, I'm just speaking to Call Team 6. We've effectively removed that.
Yeah.
We know how
Even that part of it.
Yeah.
how some automobile salespeople feel about putting themselves in front of a camera.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
you don't have to do it anymore. You know that every customer who inquires that has a VIN number, stock number, they are getting
CRM, left message.
Yeah,
the,
that's right.
the lead bias again, right? Well, here that's a great point. And I actually tuned into to this point another national podcast speaking to somebody who requires all their people to do all of that.
Right.
But when somebody if I'm a customer, I'm a prospect, and I'm interacting on a particular car, the key thing there is, I mean, the people in it are cool. You'd like to be able to introduce somebody to the conversation, give them a face, the point of contact, and all that. But if I'm a consumer, the car is the star,
Right.
right? I mean, that's all I really.
That was your whole motivation for
submitting the
for
lead.
submitting the lead.
Yeah,
for
the
sure.
car-
It looks like they
so
have something I want.
There you go. There's a what would that? Oh, I guess maybe you've heard of Moab, right? The mother of all bombs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that's a Moan, mother of all nuggets, right there.
There
Remember
you
your
go.
videos.
Yeah.
The car is the star.
There you go. Yeah,
You know,
I
as
think
much as we love humans.
Right. And and again, the AI supports the human. And again, we know the video works. And it's a stat you gave out just a minute ago, Ryan. But
Yes.
oftentimes we have a hard time getting our people to do it. Right. And again, it's one of those like herding cats every single
Well,
day.
I mean, think about and again, not that this is a topic for now, but what makes that so hard? There's a lot of turnover too.
Yes.
So you're constantly putting stress on your staff to reteach, relearn everybody new coming in to follow this process.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it-
And what's really nice
While
is,
you're fighting all the other wins of working at the dealership.
yeah, so this all goes back to what Jeff had said, and the topic being is how do we get more acquisition of more people without really spending extra money, right? We already got this pile we spent, this month, last month, 3 months ago in advertising, and our conversion rates are whatever they are. You know your numbers, but ultimately there's going to be
Hopefully.
a lot. Yeah, maybe, but there's going to be a lot more people that didn't buy that did buy. At the end of the month, and it goes back to how do I penetrate that, and how do they want to communicate with us? And
That's where we live. I worked for a dealer in my first. It was interesting that you mentioned that because I worked for a prominent dealer the first 11 years of my career there in Ohio, and everybody focuses on how many you got out, how are we doing, what are results so far in a particular month or at the end of the month.
right,
He didn't focus on that much. He said, I want to know what's going on with the people who didn't buy. Just spent money on getting those leads, getting those opportunities. This goes all the way back to 1993 or 1994.
Yeah.
And I think that obviously now with the capability of bringing in more leads, more opportunities, more at-bats, that conversation hopefully is happening among dealerships today, more often than ever. But reaching out, utilizing the data that's available there too, right?
Yeah.
So that's today's tactical tip. Ryan, I really appreciate that intel
pleasure.
on the A/B testing with the video. I think dealers can take a lot from that and say, what can we do to make sure everybody gets an initial video or a video follow-up of maybe, it's all automated that we can provide as well that will send out new inventory videos automatically.
Yeah.
Right?
that's amazing. Actually, what you said there, Jeff, in terms of that follow up. Customer doesn't buy that day. The next day, we get fed another video of a vehicle
Yeah.
that came in maybe overnight.
And our dealer partners are, they're on to today's leads, and leads from a week ago who need attention, because of lack of resources, they're not exactly getting it. So, tactical tip of the day: we've done the mission launch. We try to keep this concise as we promised. Next will be typically we're focusing on the mission wrap. And that's this portion of it. And typically this will be reserved. Wait a minute. It's reserved for viewers sending in questions to one of us here. And the first question is to Ken. Ken, what are you going to do when Cardone reaches out and tells you to stop using KenX?
KenX.
No, I'm kidding. That was me.
Yeah, no doubt, for sure.
So we're going to have we're going to have
KenX.
we're going to have Q&A with the mission wrap. Actually, what I'd like to do today, because this is the inaugural broadcast here and program,
Right.
I'd like to hear from in studio producer Ben or engineer Dan. Darn, Daniel. You've heard quite a bit there. That's a lot coming at you.
No, I mean, I'm sitting here talking with Dan. I'm like, these guys have it. At the same time, I don't know. I'm so excited to learn about this. This is stuff that I've never even ventured in. I didn't even know this was a whole. It's a huge thing. A lot of corporations are this is something that a lot of people will be able to come to and learn, and you're bringing so much knowledge to the field, and especially you do have quite a niche, right? You got a specific group of people that you'll be targeting. So I'm really looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the questions that people are going to be asking in maybe even the guests you might have on and things like that. But yeah, this is going to be a really cool podcast. Really excited.
Well, there you go. There's our first Q&A feedback loop
Yes.
from somebody who is a professional in his field, but not necessarily somebody who has been introduced to a lot of what happens inside of a dealership today, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So appreciate that. Thanks, guys.
Of course.
All right. So as again, we made sure that we tried to keep this as concise as possible. We want to make sure, ladies and gentlemen, that you tune into the next episode. We're going to pick up on the missed opportunity re-engagement portion of our mission launch segment. And then we're going to talk some about, how effective is your customer data platform, your CDP? Is it up to date? Are you getting the most out of it? And then also we're going to be looking at, for our dealership personnel partners out there in leadership teams, how are you learning to play to your strengths rather than play to your weaknesses, which we can fall victim to, a lot in our day-to-day operations. So once again, a shout out to our sponsors, Podcast Junkies, and also Digital to Dealer Direct, our full service partner in terms of marketing ad agency. Hey, listen, folks, again, a special day. We'd like to invite you back to the next broadcast that will be coming your way really soon. So, Ken, any words of wisdom on the way out?
Well, again, just say that, I would say just any questions that you may have, I would encourage just to submit them to us, because that way it's more of not coming just one-sided. We can actually speak to your questions, and we'd love to continue to be that resource for you. So there's no crazy question, just the one that's not asked, as I always say.
Really exciting stuff. And how can they reach us, Rye?
We're all over the socials, guys. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And of course, if you want to reach us directly, that's intel@callteam6.com.
We're on YouTube and Spotify as well.
And YouTube and
All right.
Spotify.
Yeah.
All right, that's about it, guys. Folks, we look forward to seeing you again really soon. On behalf of Dan and Ben and Jay back in Carolina, and Ken and Ryan, I'm Jeff. You've just watched the inaugural episode of the Mission Debrief from Call Team 6, your remote BDC solution, the special ops for car dealers. We'll see you all again really soon. Pretty cool.